created that for that same very reason. We raise them up and it becomes their life, it becomes their lifestyle. And that's how we change the world, is by teaching it to our children and letting it become their lifestyle. Where for us who came into it as Johnny come lately, we have to adapt to that new way of life. But it's just like my boy last night. He had a headache, Joseph. He come up and because he was playing too hard and he got a little dehydrated, he come up and laid down on the couch, put his feet in my lap and says, "Dad, I got a headache. Can you help me?" He didn't ask for an aspirin. He didn't ask for Tylenol. He asked for oils because that's all he knows. Okay? And so I worked a little oils into his feet and his headache was gone. He went sound asleep. That's what it's all about. Because we can do things, and what does that do? Not only was his headache gone, he relaxed, he slept, but he didn't have toxic poison in his body from taking a pill. It was God's medicine. And those are the things that our children are growing up and learning. And just think how much easier it'll be now for your grandchildren that come along, because that was part of their life from their parents who grew up as children with the oils. And so the whole thing is a foundation to start an evolutionary or revolutionary change in the way that we have been raised and believe that we have to live to deal with problems. And the peace it creates, the peace it brings in the knowing that you have something that can give you more than what man has created. And nothing will ever compensate for what God gave us from the very beginning. Never will. So there's a lot of beautiful things there that is very, very exciting. So while you're here, it is a little bit wet out there, but by golly, it takes water to grow you. So don't be afraid to get wet in the Utah rain. This is a little unusual for this time of the year. We've had more rain this year than Utah has seen in history. I hope it continues because I'm looking forward to the deep snow for my sled dogs and snowmobiling this winter. But a lot of wonderful things. So folks, I just want to acknowledge each of you for your accomplishments and what you have brought to Young Living. I want you to know how important you are to all of us and the value that you are. You're not just a silver. You're a Royal Crown Diamond. Every one of you said that. And I see you all there. And not just today, but every day. And I want you to know that even though we don't get to see you, we don't get to personally know you, which has been the difficult thing for me, because in the early days, I knew everybody. I knew their first name, their last name, their middle name. I knew their children. And I don't have that privilege anymore because it's a little hard to keep track of 1.7 million of you and all your children. That's just active members. That's not the family members. So when you think about our numbers in Young Living, 1.7 monthly active members and an average of 4 members per family, what does that translate to? That's a few folks sitting at the breakfast table. And that's pretty darn exciting. We are making an impact in this world, a big impact, and it's just starting. And that ripple effect will never stop. It'll just get bigger and bigger and bigger as we grow. And it's amazing, even the Direct Selling Association, who are headquartered in Denver, called, Jared, was it last year, and wondered what my secret was? They called and wanted to interview me and asked what my secret was to the fact that Young Living, 25 years, is still the strongest and fastest growing company in the United States. And I wouldn't interview with them. So they called a friend of mine that used to work in Young Living that has his own company as a consultant now. And he was pretty excited because he thought they were calling to interview him. And some of you might remember John McGarry that worked for Young Living a few years ago, and he has his own consulting business now. We've remained good friends. And he called to tell me. He said, "Gary, I got so excited when they called me and asked if they could interview me." And he said, "Boy, I thought this was great. you know, I just got my business started 2 years ago and it's starting to grow. And he says, and then I found out after we started talking, they didn't want to interview me about what I was doing. Because I worked for you, they wanted to interview me about you. And so I told him, I says, well, why aren't you calling Mr. Young? Well, he won't do an interview with us. And we just kind of want to know what his secret is for the continued growth, because we've never seen this in the history in direct selling or multi-level selling, ever. And he says, there is no secret. He says, Mr. Young found a product that works, and he services people. Simple as that. And that's because we have always put you before money. I've always put product quality before money. And I have said to my team over and over, we're not about selling for profit. We're about selling for purpose.
Amen.
And sometimes we come to the round table and Janae and her team says, Gary, the profit margin is pretty tiny. And I said, so what? You know, we do what we have to do to make it work. But product, quality, and purpose comes first. And always will. Now, with that said, I've got some beautiful people here that I'd like to bring up on stage, my employees that are here today. We can get them all up here. Come on.